Son Goku reuniting with Chi-Chi. This is a classic moment from the 23rd Tenkaichi Martial Arts Tournament, and it's also a hilarious one. Because this is when we find out that Goku thought marriage was a food, right? That's the big joke here, right? No, actually, that's not the case. Goku didn't think that marriage was a type of food, and I can prove it. So join me on this edition of Dragon Ball Dictionary as I take a deep dive into the original Japanese by Akira Toriyama and show you what Goku actually thought the word marriage meant. Hey guys, Tony here. I make videos about Dragon Ball, localization, and some general anime stuff from time to time. So if that sounds interesting to you, make sure to subscribe. And for more videos about the language of Dragon Ball, check out my Dragon Ball Dictionary playlist. First of all, some of you may remember that I've already talked about the Goku proposal scene, but that was in a video that was focused on the dub. So if you want to find out about the dub and how they did a horrible job at adapting the proposal scene, check out the video on screen. After you're done watching this one, I'll include a link down in the description. Today, though, we're just going to be focusing on the words that Akira Toriyama wrote. In other words, the original Japanese text. All right, so the reason why I'm covering this topic right now is because of this Twitter post that you see on screen right now. The person that wrote this post claims that people who say Goku thought marriage was food haven't actually read the manga, because that's not the case. By the way, this post was brought to my attention by one of my followers. Thank you, Dim. All right, so is this post correct? What did Goku think marriage meant? Well, we can answer that by going back to the original text. Of course, the big misunderstanding here happens all the way back in the Pilaf saga. Specifically, it happens in this panel right here. This is when Goku and Chi-Chi are about to part ways. So, Chi-Chi says, here's my Chi-Chi voice. "When we grow up a bit, would you come and take me as your bride?" Sorry, I know I didn't do an over-the-top rural dialect, but that's the best you're gonna get. All right, so the point here is that what she says is to come and take me as your bride. The key phrase in Japanese here is yome ni morao. Yome means bride or wife. Ni is a particle which in this case is basically functioning like the English word as. And morao means get or receive. So literally this means to receive as a bride. Now, this is an old-fashioned phrase that comes from the practice of a man receiving a woman, his bride, into his household. But in a more general sense, it's basically the equivalent of saying to take someone as your bride or to take their hand in marriage. Goku responds by saying, "Huh? You're gonna give me something?" And then Chi-Chi responds by saying, "Oh, stop it. Don't pretend like you don't know what I mean." Or something along those lines. And then Goku responds by saying, "I don't know what you're talking about, but if you're gonna give me something, I'll come back to get it." So the first thing that we need to understand here is that Chi-Chi never says the word marriage. She never says kekkon, which means marriage in Japanese. Instead, like I said earlier, what she says is yome ni morao. Again, this basically means take as a bride. So the misunderstanding here is coming from the fact that Goku doesn't know what yome means. However, yome ni morao ends in morao. This is a common verb in Japanese. It means to receive or to get. In this context, you might even be able to translate it as to take, but generally speaking, receive or get. Goku knows that verb, so that's why he ends up saying, "Oh, well, if you're gonna give me something, I'll go and get it. I'll go and morao." So he promises to come back to morao the yome, and thus he's promising to marry Chi-Chi. And thus we have the joke. So all we know at this point is that Goku doesn't know what yome means. We can't say for sure that Goku thinks yome means food. Now let's flash forward to the 23rd Tenkaichi Martial Arts Tournament. A mysterious girl has shown up and she has told Goku that he promised to marry her. Specifically, what she said is, you promised to yome ni morao me. You promised to take me as your bride. Now let's take a look at this panel. In this panel, Goku says, I thought yome was a food. This is when we find out that all this time, Goku had thought yome was a type of food. And remember, yome means bride or wife in Japanese. Okay, so that's it. The Twitter post was correct, right? Well, yeah, they were correct. It wasn't that Goku thought marriage was food. Goku thought yome was a type of food, which is bride or wife. But it's also possible to say that Goku thought a phrase that basically means to get married meant that Chi-Chi was offering to give him food. Yes, that's not the same as Goku thinking marriage was some kind of food, but it's kinda in the ballpark. But here's a question. Did Goku even know the word marriage? Well, we can actually figure this out by looking at what Toriyama wrote in the manga. When Chi-Chi reveals to Goku that he had promised to take her as his bride to Yome ni Morao, Goku is confused and he asks Krillin, what's a Yome? Krillin basically says, you idiot, it means to get married. And then in the next panel, Yamcha explains that to get married is to become a couple and to live together forever. He actually elongates the word zuto, which in this case could be translated forever, so that's why I said it that way, forever. And then in the next panel, Goku says, to live together? So this strongly suggests that Goku is not familiar with the word kekkon, which is the word for marriage in Japanese, because he doesn't react to Krillin, he reacts to Yamcha. He says, to live together? If he knew what the word kekkon meant, you would think that he'd go, oh, kekkon, I know, oh, marriage, okay? But no, he reacts to Yamcha. And the fact that Yamcha bothers to explain what to get married is, well, that also suggests that, well, at the very least, Yamcha didn't think that Goku knew what kekkon or marriage meant. Now, if I was only using the anime, this is where I would have to end the analysis. But because I'm using the manga, I have an extra bit of very interesting information that can confirm that Goku doesn't know what the word kekkon or marriage means. So let's go to the panel where Goku proposes. So in this panel, in Japanese, Goku says, kekkon suka, which means something like, so you want to get married? The key word here is, of course, kekkon, which again means marriage. Normally, kekkon would be written in kanji. However, in the panel, Toriyama writes it in katakana. Katakana is one of Japanese's writing systems, and it's best known as the writing system used to write foreign loanwords of Western origin. So words like hamburger, hamburger, and pizza, those are written in katakana. In this case, though, by writing kekkon in katakana rather than kanji, Toriyama is emphasizing the fact that Goku is not familiar with this word at all. In other words, this gives off the impression that to Goku, kekkon may as well be a word from a foreign language. To prove this, we can go back to the panel where he says he thought yome was a type of food. Right here, we can see that yome is written in katakana. However, in this panel where Chi-Chi says yome, you can see that it's written in kanji. And that's because she knows what yome means. It's not an unfamiliar foreign-sounding word to her. And just to further elaborate on this point, if we take a look at the panel where Goku asks Krillin, what does yome mean? We can see that it's written here in katakana as well. And actually in this panel, Goku says oyome, again in katakana. And you can say oyome ni morao or yome ni morao. They both mean the same thing. They both mean to take as a bride. So let's sum this all up. Did Goku think marriage was food? No. He thought yome, which means bride, was a kind of food. As for marriage or kekkon, the evidence suggests that he had never even heard the word, and it also seems extremely likely that the first time he ever said the word marriage was when he proposed to Chi-Chi. his definition of marriage is what Yamcha told him, for a couple to live together forever. In other words, when Goku is proposing to Chi-Chi, in his mind, what he's doing is he's asking her to be his eternal roommate. And here's one more interesting thing. It's the fact that you lose this extra nuance that comes from writing kekkon in katakana in the anime. And yes, I'm talking about the original Japanese audio. Don't get me wrong, Masako Nozawa does a great job in this moment. It's hilarious in the anime, and it's hilarious in the manga. But the manga makes it explicit that Goku has no idea what kekkon is. Yeah, you can piece that together in the anime, but it's not as explicitly laid out as it is in the manga. And this whole thing with Goku not knowing the word marriage is even more obscured in the dubs, both in the English dub and the Spanish Latin American dub. But if you want to learn more about that, then you got to check out the video on screen right now. Let me know what you thought of this video down in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, leave me a like, and if you want to support what I do, consider getting a t-shirt from my t-shirt shop, mekanekosushi.com. Link in the pinned comment. See you in the next one.